The original Sex and the City is the classic show about four upper-class friends in NYC, a drama and comedy about friendships and love lives. It ran from 1998 to 2004 and continued with the 2010 film Sex and the City 2. Now, Sarah Jessica Parker, Cynthia Nixon, and Kristen Davis have come together once again for HBO's 2021 reprisal. And just like that. But where on earth is Samantha? What happened to Samantha? Sex and the City was the story of four upper-class, well-to-do friends who are making a life for themselves in NYC. Sarah Jessica Parker plays Carrie Bradshaw, who's the show's narrator and the one we follow most closely as these women go about their lives. She's a writer for the weekly newspaper column called Sex and the City, hence the name for the show. Her friend Charlotte York, who's played by Kristen Davis, is an art designer as well as a housewife. Samantha Jones, played by Kim Cattrall, is her own boss for a PR business. Miranda Hobbs, who is played by Cynthia Nixon, is a lawyer. So fans want to know, why are there only 3 of the tight-knit group in the new series? In the very first episode of And Just Like That, it's revealed that Samantha went to London, unfortunately because of a falling out with longtime best friend Carrie Bradshaw, who, for whatever reason, not explained, didn't want to take her on as a book publicist. Carrie, played by Sarah Jessica Parker, mentions this to Miranda again herself, but doesn't go into more than that Samantha fired her for being a friend. Instead of focusing on Samantha's absence for the entirety of the episode, the show instead chooses to focus on the 3 who have returned and what their lives are like now as 50s women living in NYC. So, what were fans' reactions? Fans were at first concerned that HBO had killed off Samantha. However, the first episode immediately put these theories to rest when it was revealed that Samantha was simply in another country, but not dead. Some fans, however, were disgusted by the explanation of Samantha's absence. They were not convinced that Samantha would simply leave and ghost her friends, as one Twitter fan put it, because she was far too loyal to just leave like that. They also accused the writers of not doing the original show justice. So why did Kim Cattrall opt out of And Just Like That in real life? There's a few reasons, in fact, as the actress herself confessed. Cattrall lamented that she spent more time with her co-stars on the show than with real family. The actress also was not on good terms with Sarah Jessica Parker. There was rumored to be a Mean Girls culture on the set of Sex and the City, which alienated Cattrall as an outcast. Cattrall and Parker had a public spat on Instagram after the death of Cattrall's brother in 2018, where Cattrall called Parker out for putting on a nice girl's persona. It's understandable then that one fan was angry at the writers for portraying Carrie and Samantha's relationship as on the outs, calling it far too much of a parallel for real-life situation, and cringe. What is next for Carrie Bradshaw and the reboot And Just Like That? In the first episode of the show, Carrie becomes a widow. In the second, she's planning Big's funeral. It might take Samantha coming back from London to make things right for Carrie, or will it mean Carrie has to face some major demons of her past? Only time will tell as we face the uncertainty of the show's future. But would fans be ready for what the new show had in store for them? The biggest shock, spoilers ahead. The greatest shock turned out not to be Samantha's absence. It's actually revealed at the very end of the first episode. It happens during Charlotte's daughter Lily's piano recital, but not actually at the recital itself. The critical moment is when 50-something-year-old Carrie Bradshaw returns home after the recital and finds her husband of 11 years, John, affectionately known as Big, half sitting, half laying on the bathroom floor, hand on his chest. He notices her and looks right at her with a 1,000-yard stare. She runs over to him and cradles him to her chest. He then dies right there in her arms. For people who love these characters and have rooted for Carrie and John for years, this is a devastating blow. What follows is Carrie calling Miranda, who comes right away to the aid of her friend, who must find a way to put together a funeral. The funeral scenes happen in the second episode, the end of which is the death scene and its aftermath. All are a grim reminder and an extremely daring move on the part of the writers viewers in an episode that also offhandedly mentioned the pandemic. The show now has a lot on its plate after killing off a pretty significant character, especially for a new follow-up series that has only 10 episodes. Now, its main character, and the one we've been following since the beginning, is a widow. Now, viewers are wondering about the future of the show and are sympathizing with Carrie even more so, as she asks Miranda in tears after Big dies, "What will I do now?" How did the fans respond to Big's departure? Fans are understandably devastated, both by the loss of Big to the show and mourning for Carrie and her friends. The scene was compared by some to Jack's death scene in the film Titanic, though Jack doesn't die in Rose's arms. Yet this proves how much of an emotional impact Carrie and Big's relationship had on viewers that they even equated it to such a tragic and historical film sequence. Even celebrities were moved to heartbreak by the scene, including Karen Pittman, the actress who plays the professor Dr. Nia Wallace. "It was deep," she says of the table read during an interview with Us Weekly. Actress Penelope Cruz mentions the scene during an interview with ET, saying she could not believe it. Cruz, who was already a fan herself, got to appear in the Sex and the City 2 film. She told ET that she hopes the show will delve deeper into Carrie and Big's history with a series of flashbacks, but will, and just like that, live up to fans' expectations now that a big hole is left where Big used to be. What did fans love about Carrie and Big? The author of the book Sex and the City and Us, Jennifer Keishan Armstrong, says of the original Sex and the City series, "It made being single cool and glamorous instead of sad and pitiable, and that was a big step forward. It reminded viewers that all you need in order to make it in your 30s were your friends." So when Carrie found love with Big, how did this impact fans? Carrie and Big were always on again and then off again. In Sex and the City 2, Big got cold feet at the wedding. Later, however, he came to his senses and they were wed at the courthouse. And just like that, takes place 11 years later. And just like that, Carrie Bradshaw is a widow. It's a tragic way to start a new series, especially for a relationship that took such a long time to finally get off the ground. But what does Peloton have to say about it all, and could Mr. Big have been saved? Understandably, Carrie is in shock when she finds Big on the floor of the bathroom in the middle of a heart attack. She runs to him and holds him, and as she is holding him, he dies, leaving fans wondering if she could have done something to save him in time. After all, Big was still conscious when Carrie walked through the door. Cardiologists would argue that Carrie might have saved Big herself if she had performed CPR on him or called 911. A fan also agrees, demanding the question, why didn't Carrie just call 911? Peloton is responding extremely well, providing the comment, considering that lifestyle choices and perhaps even his family history were more likely causes in the event of Big's death. Cardiologist and member of Peloton's Health and Wellness Advisory Council, Susan Seinbaum, agrees, declaring that 80% of premature heart attacks and strokes are preventable through lifestyle, diet, and exercise modifications. Will fans forgive the show and continue watching? A lot of fans are understandably angry and lashing out at the creators of And Just Like That for the way Mr. Big died. Understandably, as it's the premiere and they just killed off a major character. No, I'm sorry, I do not accept the ending of #And Just Like That. I do not accept, tweets Danielle after watching the episode premiere on December 9th, 2021. We waited all that time for Carrie and Big to be together just for y'all to kill him off. Girl, I'm done, says fellow tweeter Raiden, also on December 9th after watching the premiere. I'm not okay, tweets another fan named Shelly. As all 10 episodes have yet to air, it is yet to be seen whether fans will stick around for the ending. It's a lot to have a major character die, especially the spouse of the main character, even if it's at the very end of an episode. But during a pandemic, it's even more difficult when tensions can be high and emotions for everyone are already so raw. Now, just like Carrie, fans might be wondering what's next on the horizon for Carrie Bradshaw as she mourns the death of Mr. Big and wonders about her future. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching.